I came to the UAE with $1 and a dream. Let's go make that dream happen. I'm like, listen, 30 seconds with the manager. 30 seconds. I came from Canada, one-way ticket. He goes, talks with the guy in the back. I could tell he was a little bit upset. He comes to me. He's like, come in. In this industry, you have not even 1% who make it. A lot of it has to do with certain people are born in certain parts of the world that make it more difficult, but the hard reality is, so what?
Soheil is the founder and owner of Qabila FC, a pro club in Dubai. His vision is to give athletes around the world the right knowledge and resources to become winners, both on and off the football pitch. He has worked with brands like Real Madrid, Adidas, Nike, etc.
A multi-dimensional athlete, not only focus on football, build a personal brand.
All-rounding.
A lot of my football teammates and former friends, they had football, but outside of football, they had nothing else.
So they were enslaved.
Those who cheat in training shall bleed heavy in war. My deepest why, and this is what drives me the most, it is my nothing comes close to it.
I'm sure your superpower is food,
Yes.
sleep, and absolute workout. Crushing it, right?
Yes, and mindset. Sleep, food, nutrition, working out, and mindset. I would say those are the combinations that keep me going.
Okay, so sleep, easy. Sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, make sure it's at night, make sure it's 8 hours, 6 hours, like it's consistent. Your circadian rhythm is good.
Yes.
Food, clear. Protein, make sure that you're easy on the carbs. Just keep eating healthy. Eat only when you're hungry. Easy. Eat meat. I'm hoping you're a meat person, so that's protein. That's good. Ribeye, T-bone, these are good stuff. And then workout, of course, cardiovascular, metabolic sort of intensity, high, everything that has to do with your strength, with your muscles.
Yeah.
What's mindset?
Mindset has changed my life.
Right.
So first, I have to say, the last couple of months have been crazy with the sleep routine because there's some late nights, and then this morning we're waking up at 5 a.m. to train. So it's being an entrepreneur and trying to build something massive and innovative.
Tell me about it.
It definitely gets you out of the routine, but I think that's required at times to step out of routine to achieve greatness. So food, I'm trying to keep consistent. Working out, it's now ingrained in my DNA from a little kid. Once you work out, once you play sports at a competitive level. But mindset for me,
right?
you get addicted. It's like you need to do it. You want to do it. And your life just becomes so much better. Mindset changed my life. So 2019, I first got into, I think it was at the end of 2018, I came across a content piece by Gary Vee at the time. And that unlocked the domino. So then I got into Tom Bilyeu, Tony Robbins, Lewis Howes, and then I started listening to podcasts. I started to read books. I made this notebook for myself.
Right.
And every time I read a book, I would recap the notes on that notebook. And then that night I would go through it and I would review, okay, I can think about it like this. This is how to be aware of my thoughts. And before that, I just lived life. And I didn't think too much about, I can actually think about what I'm thinking. And I can be intentional and I can prime certain thoughts. So that started it. And then the last 5 years for me, it's been a lot of journaling every single day. That's one of my rituals. Every single day, morning and nighttime. It's a ritual. And then I love listening to podcasts now because life is so crazy. Reading a book is getting a little bit difficult.
Oh, God.
But for me, getting the AirPods in, listening to a podcast while I'm still staying productive, that really helps. But mindset for me has been crucial, especially when I'm going after such a big vision, which is Qabila FC and building a pro football club in 365 days and now trying to get it promoted.
We'll come to that. I'm not going to jump the gun. We'll come to that because I have a million questions, right? But mindset. So you said, okay, what's the number one book that actually kind of had that inflection point? I mean, you mentioned Gary Vee, but for a book perspective.
For a book, it was Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Of course.
That was the big one for me.
Right.
So it was in the list of recommended books by Tom Bilyeu at the time.
Right.
And I gave it a shot. I read it, and the concept of knowing that your thoughts can change and you can be open to new thoughts. You can have a growth mindset opposed to a fixed mindset.
Right.
That was massive for me.
So explain to me, what's a fixed mindset and what's a growth mindset? From your perspective, of course.
So I haven't read the book, by the way, since that time. But I would like to say I've practiced, a growth mindset opposed to a fixed mindset.
Practically, exactly.
Practically, I would say a fixed mindset is when you believe your thoughts and the way of thinking are fixed. What you have right now, it's always going to stay like that. If you're unmotivated, you always stay unmotivated. If you're not confident, you're always going to be not confident. That is having a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is understanding that if you put in deep practice and you learn and you stay disciplined and you keep an open mind to grow, your mindset can actually shift. And then I got into the next layers of it with the neuroscience and the rewiring and the myelin sheath and all of this. So every time you practice a new thought and you become intentional with it, it gets wired in your mind. And who you are today can change in an hour. It could change in a couple of weeks. It can change in a couple of years. If you believe in the concept of growth mindset and you believe in your ability to actually change what you think and who you are.
That's amazing. Because listen, what stops people from thinking like this? Because this is something that I feel it's, you either have it or you don't have it. And I don't like that thought, right? Because I know I have it, right? I 100% subscribe to everything you said. You know it, so young. I wish I knew it as young as you, because I remember myself when I was, let's say in my late teens, in my early 20s, right? Even mid-20s.
Yeah.
I was so hungry, but I didn't know any better. So I was like, okay, let me know what I know and then go after it.
Were you aware that you could even have a growth mindset? Or did you live
I
life
didn't know.
and...
No. So I never rejected things. So I was always willing to, you know, that I always think of myself this way. You know, in Discovery Channel when they show those penguins on the kind of the hill, and then everybody's waiting. You know, the first one that takes the plunge.
Then they all go.
That's me. That's me. I'm the first. Like anything. Like I remember even back in the days when we had the old Nokia phones, and you know you had to do go through hoops just to update.
Yeah.
I used to be the beta tester of the latest and greatest. I don't care if it gets bricked or whatever. Everything has to be the latest and greatest. I tested everything.
I love
right?
that.
But I didn't know any better. Like I didn't have access to books as much as easy as now, of course.
Yeah.
No YouTube, no internet as proliferated as now. But you do. And what you're doing with it is amazing. And I'll tell you what. So this is Escapade Leaders Edition, okay? Brought to you by Axiomite. In this podcast, we interview leaders, CEOs, venture builders, all sorts of people who are going out of their way to make a change. But today, we have a football club founder. Come on. Who does that? I mean, this is one of one. Soheil, what are you doing?
Doing something crazy. Not only a football founder, but we built the pro football club in only 365 days.
Listen.
From
350 days to do. Look. Okay, I have a confession to do.
Yeah,
tell
okay?
me. Okay, so you gave me an idea, which I will reveal by the end of this podcast, right? That almost resembles what you do on a different level, on a different kind of plane, but very similar to yours. So I need your experience, and I'm hoping that these 1, 2, 3 hours that we sit together, I'm going to learn from you. Okay. So at least you can give me not the motivation, because I'm motivated by you, right? But actually the knowledge to be able to go after it, because there is the motivation, the mindset, but also there's the deliberate practice, the consistency to make it happen day in, day out, especially when it's down. But my question to you is, why?
That is a great question, and the answer is big. So we have to get into the story first.
Go for it.
So the story, like every young kid, young boy, you have the dream of playing professional football or becoming a professional athlete. And I had that dream as a young boy. So the thing is, I grew up in Ottawa, Canada. So my parents, my family, we flew over as immigrants. I remember the first 2-3 years, no sports.
How old were you?
I was 9 at the time,
Right.
9.
So you're aware of it, yeah.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
I came, I was in a ski trip. I broke my leg. I remember we come on a plane, my first time seeing snow or being exposed to a lot of snow. And my parents, their only concern was education. Make sure you go to school while you're in school, but make sure you get good grades. That was very important for them. I came, I had to learn English and French at the same time. And that was what I did. As I went to school, I tried to do my best. And then it was about 2-3 years after that, when I was playing recess, school break.
Right.
I was playing soccer at the time. And one of the kids, he saw me and he said, "Hey, you're pretty good. Do you want to come try out for a competitive team?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" I went and I begged my parents, "Hey, can I go to this competitive tryout?" And they said, "Yes." I go, and the coach was like, "Hey, you're decent. Come and join us." That was the lowest level of competitive soccer. I was around 14 years old. I'm training twice a week. I have 1 game. Before that, I was playing recreational soccer, which was 1 game a week. We show up. We have a shirt that they gave us at the start of the season. Sometimes they bring watermelon slices, orange slices, but it was nothing serious. So at 14 was my first year playing low-level competitive soccer in Canada. And very quickly, I had that dream. Okay, how high can I push? I want to push to the top.
That early, 14.
That early. And
What were you influenced by?
I think just the beauty of the sport. I mean, I grew up in Austria, so it's a footballing country. They love soccer there.
Okay.
And then also it's the most popular sport in the world. So you start seeing the World Cup, you start seeing Ronaldo, Messi, you get inspired. But I mean, kids nowadays, they start at 6, 7, 8 years old. They're inspired to become that pro athlete. So for me, it was quite late actually. And also my development was quite late, but I was committed. I'm going to make this happen.
Disciplined. Yeah.
So then the next couple years, I continued to work hard and I climbed up one more level in the competitive levels.
Right.
And this was by the end of high school. So now I'm like, what do I do next? Parents were heavy on education. I did good in school because I felt like they immigrated to Canada. They made so much sacrifice. That is the least I can do. I can show up, get my A pluses, get my A's. And going out of high school, it was, okay, I had no network, no connections in the football space.
Right.
So the best thing I could do was go to university and play soccer there on the soccer program and do my studies. So I did that. I'm going to zoom out now because I'm going to talk for 20 minutes if I get into the whole story. But zooming out.
Go for it, man.
I did the college soccer, university soccer in Canada. I had a lot of ups and downs there because I got cut after my first year. It was very unexpected. And then I had nothing in soccer. So the reason I got cut is I went in, and when I went in at the time, usually you have the best players in the city. Everyone kind of knows the youth players coming up. They get recruited to play on the best university team.
Okay.
For us, that was Carleton University.
Okay.
I was not on the radar. I was playing the lowest level of competitive soccer. So even before going to Carleton, to my university, I was emailing the coach like crazy. Hey, give me a tryout. Give me a chance.
Okay.
He got back to me. He was like, look, come to the open tryouts.
Okay.
I knew open tryouts, you're not going to get selected. So
Why?
Open tryouts is like the one that happens right before the season starts. So they have most of their team. They might pick one player if you're amazing. But this was a couple months before. So I emailed him, tried making phone calls. I'm like, if I can get in on the winter training camp with the actual players, my chance will be increased.
At least you have time.
I have time to showcase myself. I email. He's like, come to the open tryouts. I'm persistent. I keep trying.
2019?
2017.
17, okay.
2016, actually. Even
16.
because 2017, I got cut. That was the year after.
Right.
So I finally get an email back. I still have it. It was February 2nd, 4 p.m. That's all I got.
It's amazing.
So to me, that was the invite. That was like, I get one session.
Right.
I went out. I did my best, 110% effort. I performed well. He said, come again. Fast forward, I trained with him for the next couple of months. I'm the last player they sign in preseason. So now I'm on the soccer team of my university. Great.
Amazing.
At the same time, I'm studying biomedical
Did you get
sciences.
scholarship for this?
Scholarship athletic, scholarship academic. My first year, everything's covered. I even have extra money in my pocket.
MashaAllah. This is amazing.
I want to say thank you to my parents for that because they taught me to be disciplined, to do well in school. And a lot of my scholarships came from the athletic side. So grateful for that, but also all of the other values that they've given me.
Of course.
So I play. My first year, I'm a rookie. I'm not that physical. I barely get played. I get 10 minutes all year. I train hard. Mornings, night times. I'm like, I'm going to prove myself. Year 2 comes around. I remember a couple months before the season, the coach sits me down. He says, look, our seniors have gone away now. Now is your time to shine. It was me and 2-3 other rookies at the time. And I'm like excited. I'm like, I worked so hard. This is my season. I'm going to play. The day before the season starts, I'm like, surely I'm going to be selected in the starting 11, hopefully. Sits me down just like this. There were 2 other coaches as well. And he said, listen, unfortunately, we're not going to keep you on the team for this year. And I was so surprised at the time. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know what to do. I was shy at the time, no social skills, nothing. I got up, I shook his hand, and I left.
You didn't know why?
I didn't know why. I didn't ask.
Oh.
I didn't have the confidence to ask. I left.
Why do you think?
I think because I didn't fit into his philosophy of how he wanted to play. I think he was probably at the time looking for a bit more physical players, and then he eventually transitioned to playing a bit more of a technical game. But at the time, I was a bit more of a slim kid, and just maybe the attributes that I had didn't fit into his game plan. But to be honest, in the preseason time, I had scored 2 goals, and I was doing quite well. All of the other teammates, I mean, nobody thought that, okay, Soheil will be released from the team. So it was a shock to them as well.
Pause to continue. I
Yeah.
want you to continue the story. If you go back now to 2016-17, what would you have done differently knowing what you know now so that they will actually choose you?
What I would have done differently is, because there's so many answers I can give, but going back to the mindset thing, I genuinely believe the mindset is unlocking everything. Because if I educated myself on the importance of mindset, understanding my thoughts, having a growth mindset, going to learn new skill sets, learning how to communicate with someone, learning how to build a relationship, that would have been the unlock. If I go specific, during that time, what I would have done is built a better relationship with the coach. I would show up to training very nervous, anxious. I wouldn't talk to the coach because no one taught me. My parents didn't teach me. My old soccer coach didn't teach me. School didn't teach me. So I would go barely talk to him. So I didn't even know why. And then the other side of it is, why wasn't I proactive to build a relationship with the coach ahead of time? So these are things that I'm aware of now. But at the time, again, I can focus on a specific. But if I go high level, it's really like, if I had the mindset, then I would have been aware of those things. But that is one of the most important things also in my career right now, is building relationships and learning how to connect and network. In football especially, half of the game, if not more than half of the game, is the relationship you actually have with the coach. Yes, you need to be good, but the relationships you have with coaches, with scouting, people, with sporting directors, that is what gets you into the higher levels.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, where were you on that scale, which is social, network, ability to communicate, put your thoughts into words?
2.
2.
I would give myself a 2, because now I'm learning so much and I'm elevating the ceiling. So at the time, I probably thought I was maybe a 6. But now where I am now, I look back, I'm like, that was a 2.
So your advice to people is just this, because, I mean, look, completely understand what you're saying. So now you're almost 180 degrees. That's why you're almost putting yourself out there all the time.
Yeah. But that's one of the biggest advice, whether you're an athlete looking to go pro, or you're a young entrepreneur who has an internship or a job offer, or you're building your own business, whoever it is in your network, build a better relationship with them. It will only help you.
Have you read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People?
I love that book.
Carnegie. Yeah.
So good.
So that book, one of the books that actually made me go out there. Now, I wasn't as shy, but I wasn't an introvert, but when I did the personality test, I'm probably an ambivert. So 51% extrovert, 49% introvert, but it depends on the situation, how competent I am.
Yeah.
But I would immediately go 100% out there. Like my fear was losing face, if that makes sense.
I know.
Like the rejection to me, because remember, I think both of us come from the same culture. This part of the world, we hate failure, because that's why we need to educate and become a doctor or an engineer or someone with a title and the acronym before your name, right? Because everybody will be proud of you, because otherwise you're looked down upon. And that's something that your culture is instilling in you from the moment you grow up. It's like, you don't have to fail, only succeed. Failure is not an option. I'm like, you know?
By the way, do you think a person has the ability to transition between being an introvert and an ambivert, or an extrovert? Because you said you're an ambivert.
Yeah.
I have my own answer to it, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Look, my answer is a bit skewed because this is my field of research, right? So what I know is that you cannot. This is almost part of your DNA. It's like your skin color. It's like your eye color, right? It can, but it takes a long time of deliberate practice. However, that's not a box you can be boxed in. Many of the public speaking people who are on stages that command the audience are actually introverts. But the difference is they know their strengths. So they charge on what they can charge in. And then when they're on stage, they're actually releasing their energy. Now, for example, for me, I know I'm in between. So I have a limit. Sometimes, so this discussion, for example, is charging me because it's intellectual. It has this energy. There's positivity in it. Sometimes discussions like this drains me by the end of it. Now, I didn't know why. Now I know why. So to answer your question, it really depends. To change substantially at a fundamental level, I don't think it can be done. And again, this is maybe me skewed by the theories that I've read and the knowledge that I've done through my research. But that doesn't mean that you are contained. You're not boxed. You can absolutely change your outwardly behavior, But inside, who's an introvert will always be an introvert. He will need to have their me time, go in, recharge, curl with a book, listen to some symphony. That's what I know.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Do you think I'm an introvert or extrovert? First impressions.
Look, first impressions, you're an extrovert, right? This is impressions. That's why it's very difficult. However, now talking to you more, not because of the stories, because of your micro expressions, your body language, this, I can predict that you are an introvert.
So for myself, high school, growing up, university, I was the kid. I'm telling you, I would be in class. I was like, please, don't call on me. I don't want to raise my hand. I was thinking like, what if this person talks? How am I going to react? I was overthinking situations. In university, the lecture hall starts becoming bigger. I would go the door. I see the door, the window. I would peek in first. I would have to find my spot. Because if I walked in and I would get like the social anxiety of everybody, in my mind, they're looking at me. Where am I going to sit? I was always very shy. I was always introverted. I would want to be alone, read a book, do my own thing. That was my space. In a social gathering with different people, I would get like, that wasn't my energy. I still feel like at core, I'm introverted. However, when I decide to be intentional, I can turn into an extrovert or an ambivert in between. However, what I'm curious about and I'm experiencing life and continuing to learn is because I've now been so intentional with, there's certain environments where I really put myself out there and I genuinely enjoy it and it does charge me as well. Am I now rewiring myself to maybe go from that super introvert to slowly becoming an ambivert? And I do feel like that. Although still today, if I go back home, I love to have my 1 hour alone.
There you go. So you would know, and no one else on the face of the earth would be able to tell you, you are this or that. You would know, because at the end of the day, what you put out there, by the way, people think that it's faking. People think that it's dishonest. It's not. It's really, really not. It's like when you're playing sports, right? When you're playing on the field, you're not faking. You're actually practicing to be that good in front of people with the ball, scoring goals and winning with your team. That's not fair. So the same thing when it comes to being an extrovert and an introvert. And that's, by the way, that's part of having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Because if you have a fixed mindset, it's like, hey, I'm an introvert. That's why when I do this test with people, I first have to coach them and prime them, because introverts specifically, or even extroverts for that matter, they immediately, oh, that's why things happen. It's like they point at things out of them as excuses to explain their own behavior or setbacks. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. We still have the power of choice, right? We have the willpower, and the growth mindset actually feeds into the willpower, which goes all the way from how you behave outside and how you feel and think inside and manifest your thoughts, right? And that's very important. And this is, I think, what you did. What you did is you're doing it. Now, as you go, you will test. Can the needle move? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Nothing has changed. I mean, you can do lots of things these days. You can do plastic surgery and change all your looks, right? The point is not to focus on that. So it's not I want to change, it's that I want what impact I want to do and how I want to be impacted by it, right? And if that's the thing that you have in mind, then you know what you control and what you don't control. What you don't control, leave it be. What you control, double down. And then things will just manifest. It's like the law of attraction, not the traditional one, but the kind of real one, right? That's what happens. So for you, now if you stand on stage, how do you feel?
I feel confident. I feel excited. I've practiced this new concept in the last 6 to 8 months, especially, where I decide how things play out and I genuinely believe it. And then the more clear I get with it, it actually plays out like that. So touching on what you said with some people call it the fake it until you make it. I really believe in that concept. If you stay true to it, if you are clear with, you have to envision who is that ideal version of you. How do they talk? How do they speak? How do they move? And then you have to already believe you are that person. And the more you do that, and then you back it up with the execution and the action, you actually become that person. And even myself now, on stage, for example, I've done multiple stage talks. I am excited to be on stage. I'm confident to be on stage. It wasn't like that my first one. My first one, I was a little bit nervous. Obviously, 5 years ago, very shy. Over the last couple of years, starting to change it. My first one, I was a little bit nervous, but as time goes on, I literally decided I get to decide how I feel. I decide how I feel. Am I nervous or am I excited.
Because that's the same physiological
It's the
feeling,
same
right?
reaction. It's the same feeling physiologically. So now I feel very excited. I'm confident. And that is also a piece I want to give to, because a lot of people who tune into my journey now, they are who I was 6 years ago. Maybe not as confident, maybe didn't believe in themselves as much. Who you see today is two kids. They wanted to do an interview with me from Dubai Scholars School.
Okay.
I have a really busy schedule, but my manager, I told them, give them some time. I really want to give them some time. And they were doing it for a school project. And I met with them yesterday and I did the interview with them. And by the end of it, they were so grateful and excited. And they said, wow, you're so special and you're amazing. And I wish one day I could be like you. And I said, guys, you have the potential to be like me one day and even greater. And I want you to believe that from today. But how do you get to that version? You need to genuinely believe you can become that for yourself. It's going to be unique, however you want to become that version. But you need to then back it up with the work. But it all starts with a belief, because if you believe it, it opens up the realms. It opens up the boundaries of where you can go. And I think that's the beauty of the growth mindset as well.
Yeah.
Because a fixed mindset, the boundaries enclosed.
You just stop yourself from thinking and believing. And you see, the thing is, because there are two types of people, right? There are people that have control over their thoughts,
Yeah.
right? Naturally. And there are people that don't. Now, the people that don't, what do? They still have control over their physical actions and behavior, right? So in my world, discipline. I keep on saying discipline, 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 discipline. First discipline, then everything else, including commitment, by the way. Because commitment and committing to something, sometimes it's dangerous, because you might commit to something and then you have a fixed mindset and then you just keep on trying to carve a stone with a plastic fork. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to kind of know how to think. But discipline in knowledge, discipline in action, put in the work day in, day out, every day, no fail, right? Then what will happen is there's this theory of initially you suck at it. So you hate yourself. It'll be hard. It'll be so difficult. But then once you unlock this, you start seeing the results. And once you see the results, you enjoy it. And the more you enjoy it, the more you do, the more you do. And the more you do, you become good at it. And the more good at it, you enjoy it more. And then the cycle keeps on going forever, right?
Yes.
But it's that first part, if you just, and that the only thing is, and countless people just ask me, so how can I do this? How can I do that? And I coach people and leaders and CEOs. And I tell them, listen, there's no shortcut.
No shortcut.
Discipline, make sure that you go beyond that first, you unlock that first hurdle. Then you'll become, because in learning, you are either a novice, a mediocre, or a master.
Yeah.
A master is someone who does things, it's like their talent, their skill is unconscious. It's like when you're driving. You're driving, right? We all text and drive, don't we? Do you text and drive? No?
No.
Okay, of course not. Well, neither am I. But anyway, for the people that text and drive, why do they do it? Because driving to them is an unconscious practice, unconscious sort of skill. So they don't have to think about it, and they can do other things while they're doing it. So similarly with you, you are now a pro player on the field. When someone comes and say, how did you do that? It's like, you can't explain it because it's in your subconscious.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you a master. That's why you can do it while doing something else. Probably you can dribble while probably drinking water without even spilling a drop of water.
Yeah.
That is where a mastery level, similar to an introvert. An introvert on stage, that's why you became a master on stage. But that doesn't mean that you became an extrovert, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you know what's special? To get to that point that you're talking about, where you become a master, you become so good at it, you need to go through that friction point. It is an absolute necessity. Why not change your framing? Why not be excited to take it on? Like you even highlighting this for some people. I think a lot of people go through it and they're hit with the friction and the difficulty. And when they're hit with it for the first time, they're like, oh, I don't want to do this. This is not for me. But what if you're aware that it's going to be there anyways? Change your framing. Be excited. I want more.
Yes.
Give me the challenge. What's next? Can I overcome this? If you take that approach, not only are you going to go through that phase, but you're going to go through that phase enjoying it a lot more than you would.
Because you expect it. Exactly. And the only way to enjoy it is to understand. And to your point, expect stress.
Yeah.
It's the only way to grow if you go through stress. That's it.
Yeah.
So listen, let's go back to 2017 now.
Yeah.
How was that setback? How did you feel during that time?
It was very difficult because my dream as a young kid was, okay, pro soccer. I want to achieve this. That was my only road at the time, the one that I had in my mind. I go to university.
What did pro soccer mean to you?
Signing a pro contract and being able to focus on playing soccer and not needing to do anything else.
So hearing the fans while you're
Being able to show up to training every day,
Yes.
the game once a week, and not
course.
working another job. That was my what was going on in my mind. Now, at the time, my only route that I knew was, okay, I go university soccer. Then from there, I could get drafted, or I then get a tryout with a professional team, and I make it that way. Because
Right.
I didn't have any agent connections. I didn't have any scouts. I didn't know any coaches.
Nothing.
And my parents weren't in that industry. So the script gets ripped in front of me. I get cut. And now I'm walking back from the locker room and I'm like,
Do you remember how you felt?
I felt very sad, disappointed, down, because I had also made my whole university schedule around the training times. So imagine we train 2 times a day, some days, and then I would block out that time for training. So then I would have earliest courses, 8:30 a.m. I have to go to campus. Then I would take a break. Then I have classes here again. Then at nighttime. Now I don't even have the soccer
my
commitment.
God.
So now the next couple of weeks, I'm showing up to school. I'm there all day for no reason. And I know on the other side of campus, all of my former teammates are training and I have nothing. And in Canada, it starts getting cold in the winter and there's not many soccer opportunities. So what did I do? I stayed disciplined. I remember what the goal was. Every day on my way back to university or in between those classes, I would go to a soccer field, and I still have videos of this. I would set up a cone drill. I would bring 2 balls with me and I would go through it. 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Dribbling just by myself. Shooting, passing against the wall. I would do whatever it took to improve with the hope that hopefully one day I will get the chance to prove myself.
Man, I got goosebumps.
So I'm doing this. Now it starts to snow. I'm not kidding. You have 5 centimeters of snow. I would go with a shovel. I would take the snow away and I'm training. Then I go to university. I come back. I do it all over again. In the meantime, I'm going on Google. Pro soccer clubs in Austria. I search. I figure out the league system. Pro soccer clubs in Germany. Okay, this division here, this city here. I make a big list. Now I get the contact information. I'm emailing every single day. I'm emailing. Couple of days go by. I check. No response. I email. I check. No response. 6 months.
2017.
2017.
Okay.
6 months in, 0 responses.
6 months.
Month
Do you
7,
remember how many emails you sent?
probably a couple hundred at least.
Wow.
A couple hundred at least. Month 7, I
Okay.
get a response. They reject me. But I got a response. So I had some hope.
Man, you crashed me.
Okay. I had some hope. Okay. I got a response finally, you know? I got a response. 2 weeks after, I get another response. They also reject me. Month 8, I get a positive response for a 3rd division club in Austria. They say, hey, if you want, you come out for a week. We will cover your accommodation and food during the stay, but not your flight. I was like, I'm going to do this. I've been working on the side, refereeing, doing coaching, saving up money to pursue my dream. My last exam that semester was April 24th in the morning. April 2 p.m., I had my flight booked. I was committed. One-way ticket. I go to Austria. First time.
Wait. One-way ticket?
One-way ticket. Because my mindset was I go there, I make it work, I sign, I stay, I live there. I go there and that week goes quite well. I had a lot of pressure on me. I put a lot of pressure on myself, but it goes well. And they say, listen, we like you. How much can we offer you? It depends on our new sponsors coming in for next season.
Makes sense.
This was at the end of the season. So there's like a 1-month break, then the new season starts.
Gotcha.
So in that time, I'm trying with different clubs. I'm taking the train to go to another city. I'm going to Linz. Then I'm taking the train to go up to Germany, to Mannheim. I'm going all around trying to create opportunities. Long story short, the first club comes back to me, says, we don't have enough budget to give you a good contract. They were offering me a couple €100 a month. At the time, that was tough for me to make the move to Austria and live there. So I didn't give up. I continued until the very last day where the window closes to sign players.
Gotcha.
And that last final week, I trained with another team that used to be in the Austrian Bundesliga, the first division, but they had dropped down. And on the final day, they signed me. So that for me was a big moment. And I signed there. I played. I had half a year there. What happened was I was so excited. And then a couple of weeks in, I got one of the worst injuries possible. I tore my ankle ligament. And that was so difficult for me. On the outside, it looked great. I put the signing picture. I put a couple pictures of me playing. But on the inside, I'm living 20 minutes outside of Salzburg in a rural area on top of a barber shop with a flatmate who was in the Vietnamese War. No legs. He's with crutches, doesn't speak German, doesn't speak English. Very grumpy guy. That's where I was put. The club put me there. So every day I come back from training. I'm in that environment. I had no friends, no social life. I go to training. This German coach, Austrian coach, is yelling at me every single session. I'm the only outsider. Everybody else was pretty much from Austria. And months go by and I'm living that same routine. Then I get injured. So imagine that same thing going on when I get injured. I stopped school at the time. My parents were upset about that. Now I'm in Austria alone. And those months were some of the most difficult months. Now, fast forward, I go back to Canada. It doesn't work out because of the injury. I go back to Canada. I try there. I'll zoom out now again. So I try there for a little bit. I play semi-pro in Canada. Then 2020 comes around. 2020, I'm like, let me give Europe another chance. I go. I do very well. And I sign with another team.
What month?
This was in 2020 January, right before COVID.
Ooh.
I go. I sacrifice again all my savings, one-way ticket. I'm with the B team of a first team. That is a very well-known club in Austria. So the plan was to play with the B team, move to the first team. I'm doing well the first 2 months. I sign with the B team. The pathway is there to move up to the first team. 2 weeks later, I'm at the hotel they had me. The TV turns on. Korea or Asia, wherever it was, it starts the COVID outbreak. Everybody was like, surely it's not going to be anything crazy. The next week, leagues are suspended in Europe. I had to go back to Canada. Nothing was on. I go back to Canada. Again, the script was ripped in front of me. I go back, and this time, nobody had anything to do. We're all in lockdown, COVID. And this app was starting to pop off, TikTok. And I thought, I don't have much to do. I'm training. I'm doing my online school at the time I got back to make my parents happy. And I was doing my schooling. I was training hard, preparing for the next opportunity. And I went on TikTok. I started to make videos in the soccer space. At the time, 200 views, 50 views. I remember one video got like 800 views. I was so happy. And I stayed consistent. I kept up with it because I had done YouTube many years ago for fun. So I was already in the content game, but it was completely for fun.
And you were on your own, like just
I was on my own, just videoing myself. Fast forward, a couple of the videos start to pop off, a couple thousand views. Then what really changed it is 2021, January 1st. I came up with an idea. It's the first of the year. I've been going at this dream of pro soccer for so long, but I haven't achieved it. What if I make a challenge? 365 days to try to sign a pro football contract. And I document everything on social media. What kind of social accountability would that give me? At the same time, what is the potential impact I can make with people tuning into the journey? Educating them on the reality of football, the industry, the setbacks, the failures, the scams behind the scenes, the cutthroat side of it. I thought, okay, I can make a positive impact here. I can educate people. I want to educate them, give them information and tools, and it holds myself accountable. That afternoon, I pick up my phone. Day 1 of day 365, trying to sign a pro soccer contract. Today, I'm in Canada, no connections, no network, I'm injured, but in 365 days from now, I'm going to sign that pro contract. Follow the journey. Put the phone down. The next day, 200K views. It popped off. So I'm like, wow, people are interested in this. They're really interested. And I continued the journey. Day 2, guys, I'm here. This is my plan. Currently, I have no connections, but I'm going to email these clubs in Germany. I'm going to try and make something happen there. And I documented the process. So weeks go by. People are engaged because I was raw and authentic. Hey guys, I'm injured. I don't know when I'm going to be back, but these are the rehab exercises I'm doing. This is my mindset right now. Can I make it happen? I don't know, but I'm going to share it with you guys. And along the way, unfiltered, raw. Fast forward, summer comes around. The journey picks up some traction. This company in Spain was hosting a showcase. They said, listen, come out to our showcase, document the journey.
How did they know about you?
They saw the content on TikTok.
Wow.
And I
So now
said,
they reached out to you.
they reached out to me.
That's
And
power.
I've never been to Spain. This is one of the biggest football countries in the world. I'm like, of course I'm taking on this opportunity. At the same time, doing online school, training incredibly hard, I go to Spain. About 90 players at the showcase, only 3 will get selected for the pro trial opportunity. The week before the trial, I'm training in Canada. I always go to the soccer field with a couple of my friends, put in extra work. Knee-to-knee collision.
Oh.
I get a bad knee injury, and I'm like, no way. 1 week before the trial, I'm like, this is so bad. Mindset. I have now 200,000 people, 300,000 people are tuning in the videos. I'm going to go there that week. If something starts hurting, I'm going to grind through. Probably it was a Monday to Friday trial. Maybe by Thursday, by Friday, it's going to start to hurt. Day 1, double session. The first session, it hurts. And now I'm limping on my knee. I put the tape. I take the painkillers. I train every day. I play every single day. Friday comes around. They select the players. I get selected. Share the journey with everybody. They get inspired. They're tuning in. But the job was not done. 2 weeks from that moment, I would have the pro trial with Rayo Vallecano, but the B team at the time. I go, I prepare, I get my knee recovered. I go to the trial. I show up. Everybody's watching. I prepare myself so much. The anxiety I had that morning was crazy. Because I'm like, this is a big moment for myself, but also everybody else watching. Now there's that accountability and that pressure. I show up at professional gate. Security at the front, 7, 8 football pitches, because they had their La Liga team there too. This was the B team in the same facility. I go to the gate. I'm like, I'm here to train with the team. I was so excited, nervous too. But they're like, who are you? I'm like, yeah, this is my name. Check in the system. It's definitely there. They check with the manager of the team. They come back. We don't know about you. What? I'm like, wait, what's going on? So I was with a showcase company that was supposed to be the link to this club. So it turns out it wasn't legit at the time. I called the guys. I'm like, what's going on?
You were scammed.
I'm like, what's going on? They're like,
serious?
Come tomorrow. They're going to let you train.
This happens?
This happened. Yeah.
Did you pay them money?
I did not pay them money. So
what's
I want to be authentic. I got this opportunity because at the time I'd popped off on social media. They said, come, we'll cover your expenses. I believe part of the expenses I covered myself because I want to have the opportunity.
Yes.
They covered my accommodation and stuff like that at the time. Their win was going to be I'm documenting it. So then hopefully they get more people.
No way.
Day 2 comes around. I go back to the venue. They're like, there was a miscommunication
So
today.
fast,
You can train.
Yeah.
Day 2, they still don't know who I am. Now I'm upset. I'm like, so many people are watching. Let me take matters.
You're documenting this?
I'm documenting this.
You're saying
it's on YouTube. It's on TikTok. Yeah. Day 2, I go back. I'm like, I have to take things into my own hands. I think I'm like, what can I do? Okay, if I see the manager, I'm going to go up to him. I'm going to sell myself. I go to the print shop that evening. I make a resume. I put a couple things on the resume to make myself look like better than I was at the time in terms of credibility in the football space. I go day 3. They still don't know who I am. Surprise. I'm like, listen, 30 seconds with the manager. 30 seconds. I came from Canada, one-way ticket. Just give me a chance.
This manager with the security, with the gatekeeper.
He comes out. I show him the resume. I'm like, listen, I've been here, one-way ticket. Like, I'm committed. Give me one training session. He goes, talks with the guy in the back. I could tell he was a little bit upset. He comes to me. He's like, come in.
How's your injury?
Gives me the gear. Injury 80%. Okay. Not 100%.
Okay.
But by then, it was like, I just want to play. I don't want to kill myself.
Right. Your adrenaline is so high. Right.
I just want to play.
Think about it. Yeah.
I get the gear. Everything's professional. And I could tell the vibe was a little bit like, give him a session so he doesn't show up. Who is this guy showing up every single day, knocking on the door, trying to train with us? I trained that one day. He was surprised at the end of the session. He's like, this guy's good. Bring him back. I go the second day. He's like, bring him back. 2.5 weeks go by. He's like, by then the season was about to start. He's like, look, I'm impressed. You've showed discipline. You've showed dedication. You're a good football player. However, you didn't do enough for us to want to give you that additional contract because we already had most of our team made at the time.
Right.
I didn't get the contract. It was a goodbye for me. So I went back to the Airbnb that I had at the time, on my own, out of my savings. I have 1 more week to try and sign with the team. And
From
now
the 360.
from the 365.
Okay.
No, not from the 365 until
From
the
your
window
stay.
ends.
Okay. From
The window
win-
ends.
Okay.
By then, I can't really sign with anybody.
Gotcha.
Now I'm emailing every single club, 4th division, 5th division, 6th division. I'm going 7th division. I just want a team in Spain. Give me a team. I'm emailing, no responses. Finally, I'm like, let me change the strategy. Let me go to players. I find one American player who played for a 6th division team at the time. I'm like, okay, I found the name. I go on Instagram. I DM him, hey, can we grab a coffee? Would love to connect with you. He replies. I get the coffee. I meet with him. He connects me with the coach. I get a trial the next day. I go there. I showcase myself. 3 days later, he's like, you've done the job. We want to sign you.
Wow.
And I had signed at the time with a lower division team, but I had a club.
Right.
I announced it. Everybody's hyped. Like, he has something. He's on his road up. And then the problem was they didn't pay me. So now I'm in Madrid, Spain. I'm like, okay, I have a
That's all.
team. At all.
Just a team.
At all. They
Right.
couldn't afford. Their financial situation wasn't good. It was lower in the table. Now I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, I have to make some money. So I knew social media at the time. I started knocking door to door. I'm like, let me give you social media services. 500 euros a month you pay me. I give you this many videos. I closed my first client.
Like what social media services? Like editing?
Instagram videos at the time.
Right, right.
I was like, I'll make Instagram videos for you. I'll film it. I'll edit it. I'll give it to you. You grow your social media.
Okay.
And I had the first client at the time. And then that goes on to basically sustain my life in Madrid. Now, at the time, this is where it gets crazy. I'm like doing football, but at the same time, I have that business mindset. What can I do to grow my connections, network?
Because you tasted it, right? I mean, you
like,
changed your tactic.
Yes.
And it worked.
Yes. And I found out about this event, World Football Summit. I never knew about events. What are events? I'm a little kid. I just flew to Madrid for the first time. I checked the event. This person's going to be there. Professional football player. Legend is going to be there. This company's going to be there. I'm like, I have to go. I was so excited. I remember I go on the website, check the tickets, 500 euros.
Oh, wow.
I can't do it. At the time, I couldn't do it. Like, let me think, what can I do? I find the email. I start emailing. Listen, bring me out. Give me the free ticket. I'm going to come social media for you guys for free in exchange for the ticket. I email, no response. Email again 2 days later, no response. I make a phone call on the WhatsApp that I found. No response. 3 days before the event was in Madrid, so I was lucky. 3 days before the event, they get back to me. Here's a media pass. Come do social media for us. I'm like, I have my way in. Those 2 days.
It's the power of having a fandom and social media, right?
That's the power.
It's crazy.
That's why I always recommend build a personal brand, grow content about your life, your mindset.
You never know how you
never know
can
what can
just,
happen.
yeah.
I go to the event. 2 days. I'm like, I am going to go around, network with as many people as possible, provide as much value as possible.
Exactly.
The end of day 2 comes around. Someone from Sky Sports, David Garrido, he stops me. He's like, me and my business partner, Daniel, we were filming, we were documenting everything. He's like, guys, you two, I've seen you in the last 2 days. You've been going around, running around the venue, filming videos. The energy you've had, like, I've never seen anything like it. Let me have a chat with you. We talk with him for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And he,
On camera?
no.
Oh, okay.
Just off camera.
Okay.
Gives us advice. Such good energy.
Just like that.
Just like that. Tells me about an event
Pure
called
kindness.
Web Summit next month. Now I'm like, I got 2 days of events. I'm like, next event, let's go. He's like, you got to come to Web Summit. I'm like, yes, I want to go to Web Summit. Finish the conversation, go home. I search Web Summit. I check the ticket, 1,000 euros. Lowest ticket, highest ticket, it was like 24,000 euros for chairperson,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's Web Summit.
Now I'm starting to email them. I'm trying to get in. Again, rejections at the start. It was maybe a week and a half before I get the email back for the media pass. Now I kind of knew I could do the media route. But it was in Lisbon. So we get a Ryanair ticket, last bit of our money, cheap Airbnb. Me and Daniel, we go. And that day, we're like connecting with people like crazy. And there was a VIP area with all the important people. And then there was the greater people, the attendees and everything. And I was there to connect with everyone, but there were a couple people I really wanted to connect with who were in the VIP area. I used the third door. I used some tactics. I see David Garrido again. He was a moderator. I go up to him. I'm like, David. He pauses for like 7 seconds. It was the longest 7 seconds of my life. I'm like, please remember me. Please remember me. And he's like, Soheil, I remember you. I'm like, we should catch up. I knew he was going from the stage to the VIP. I didn't have access. I knew it. But I thought if in those 3 minutes of the walkover, I could give him value, I could create the energy, maybe he finds a way to get me in. I'm talking with him. I'm creating the energy. I'm creating the value. We get to the gate, there's like 4 bodyguards. They go through, David goes through, the other 2 people go through with a badge. Me, they stop me. They're like, you can't get in. Who are you? I'm like, oh, okay. David comes back. He's like, let me see what I can do. Goes back in. 5 minutes go by, nothing happens. I'm like, oh, it's done. Let me just go back to the expo area. I'll connect with people. I'm like, let me give it a couple more minutes. Couple more minutes go by, comes out. Guest pass. Puts it on the wrist. I get in.
No way.
I'm going down the stairs, buffet everywhere, drinks. I see Casillas in the back. I see Roberto Carlos. I'm like, what's going on? How am I in this space? Those 2-3 days, I go crazy with networking. I get connected with someone who ran VidCon at the time, and they were doing it for the first time in the UAE in Abu Dhabi. I heard about the event, VidCon.
Yeah.
He starts talking about people who are going to be out there. Again, I'm like, event? I need to go. Event ends in Web Summit. I go back home. I search VidCon. I email them. I'm like, can I get in as a speaker? They're like, no, it's too late. I'm like, can I get an invited pass, guest pass? They're like, yes, but flights, accommodation on your own. I go pick up a couple of extra gigs, make enough money to fund that. I take the risk. My first time in UAE. This is towards the end of 2021.
Right.
Day 365 is not complete yet.
Okay.
I'm still playing in Spain. We had a couple of days off. I take the trip to go to UAE.
Okay.
I come to UAE, and for the first time, I see something different. For the first time, I see this energy, people wanting to connect, wanting to network, influencers, social media is being valued. I'm like, wow, I did not feel this in Madrid, Spain. I had brilliant 2, 3, 4 days here. The last day, I connected with an agent who got me a trial in a team in the UAE 2nd Division. I go to the trial. The club says, hey, you did good, but we want to see you for longer. I already have my return ticket. So I said, okay, let me go back. Give me a couple weeks to build up. I was going to make more money. And then I was going to go one-way ticket to UAE. I go back to Madrid. Now it's winter break hits. So we always have 1 week, 2 weeks off in the winter break. By now, it's almost December 31st. The day 365 is about to end. Go back to Canada for winter break to see my family. I go back, 365 days ends, and now something started to change. A lot of people start to hate. A lot of negativity. This guy, 365 days, he couldn't do it.
Oh.
Who is this guy? He sucks. Like, he gave himself a year
On social media.
on social media,
Right.
especially TikTok. But has the
Really?
potential to be a toxic platform. Everybody commenting, hate. I'm like, what do I do here? Do I just stop? Like, the pressure was pretty high at the time. And I remembered, look, this is not just about me. I made a promise to myself. I was accountable to myself. But now this is about the 300,000 people at the time who were tuning in the journey. There are people out there who've been inspired by my journey. And if I give up, maybe they will give up.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
That's on your shoulder.
Let's create a storyline of inspiration and that not giving up feeling. And I decided I'm going to go again. Year 2. So I announced on January 1st, 2022. I'm like, guys, year 2, season 2, 365 days. At the time, I'm like, UAE could be the spot to make it happen. Because to be a pro in the UAE is easier to be a pro in Spain.
True.
Spain, the talent's so much higher. And I was going to go to UAE in a couple weeks' time. But then unfortunately, one of my family members got very sick. COVID at the time, you have the waves going on with other health conditions. Hospital situation got very bad. And for me, family is absolute priority. So I had to say no to the opportunity. I did the family priority. And then TikTok went crazy. Now they're hating on me even more.
Really?
This guy's making excuses. He never had an opportunity. He should just give up. Every hate comment was getting hundreds of likes. So there's an army of people liking the hate comments. And at the time, yes, I was doing the mindset stuff, but that's a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure.
We're only human, right?
We're only human, and my family was not doing good as well. And now I decide, I'm like, what do I do here?
Okay.
Do I stop because the pressure was getting too high? Or in those moments of friction, in the moment of difficulty in that phase, do I persist
The real
with faith and the hope that the up will come and something better will come? And that's what I decided to do. The hate comments came in. I posted every day. I made videos.
For the haters.
For the haters. Thank God my family member got better a couple of weeks in.
Okay.
And then, by then, the UAE opportunity canceled because the timing didn't work out.
Right.
I had a connection in Germany. I went to Germany. Zooming out, I went to Germany a couple of weeks, Austria a couple of weeks. Then UAE opened back up. I'm like, let me take the risk to the UAE. Now it's really like last shot to make it happen, you know? I do the one way from the Europe to UAE. I arrive in UAE at the airport. It was that difficult, I'm telling you. I had 1 week Airbnb blocked out. I get to the airport. I didn't know anything about UAE, Dubai International Airport. I arrive. I'm like, sure.
That's 2022.
2022, March 6th, I arrive.
Yeah.
I'm like about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll
Sounds
get
like
there.
eternity.
I'm going to move to the Airbnb. There's probably a metro system I can get around for cheap. I get to the airport. I asked the taxi. No, a metro system to get to where I was. Airbnb was in Sports City.
Oh.
I asked the taxi. I'm like, how much? He's like, 150 AD. I do the conversion. I'm like, oh shit, this is a good amount of money at the time for me. Then I'm like, oh, I'm sitting there. I see the car rental. I see dollar car rental, thrifty car rental. I'm like, okay, I do the math. If I get the car rental for the week, can I budget enough? I sat there for an hour and a half because I did the math
Alone.
And I was trying to figure out, if I do the car rental, will I have enough money for food and everything else? And I did the math, but then I sat there, and then there were also feelings of like just the anxiety that I needed to go through of like, yo, what did I just do? Like I came to the UAE with not much. And long story short, I got the dollar car rental, and the meaning I attached to it, I came to the UAE with $1 and a dream. Let's go make that dream happen. So I got the car rental. It was a Nissan Sunny, picked it up, go to Dubai Sports City. And that week I go train with the team. Long story short, that trial continues. In the meantime, I'm networking, doing the same concept in Madrid. Can I give my social media value to other people in exchange for money? Here, I noticed people pay more for it. Great. But also life is more expensive.
Yeah.
But I found a way to make it work. I got clients. And finally, that added up to become a social media agency that I ran with Daniel, my business partner. And that became our main source of funding until, fast forward a couple of months, a lot of ups and downs. I finally signed a pro contract with the team at the time on day 634. By then, everybody's been tuning in. Now I'm at close to 1 million followers. And that was a special moment after going through so many ups and downs and on the side working to make money. And finally, we had achieved this goal. Because so many people were supporting me and I genuinely felt like I was doing it with them. It was a very fulfilling moment. And I signed the contract, and that first year, we have a very good year as a team. We get promoted, we move up, we're doing the agency, we're building up our life here in Dubai. And the year finishes, and this is all getting to the why. It's been such a long story, but it's going to get to the why. And that year, it's a continued learning of seeing other football players, living with them, seeing how they move, how is their life. And then when you move up, we got promoted. When you move up to the first division, you cannot have that many foreign players. They want more local players. So a lot of our team had to go. The communication from the club wasn't the best. It wasn't professional,
What club?
in my opinion. It was Gulf United.
Right.
I want to say I'm very grateful to them
They're
for
the Dubai based?
Dubai-based, for
Okay.
giving me the platform. And they're a great football club. I'll say positive things about them. We're creating a bit of beef and a bit of drama this week. We're about to play them this weekend.
No way.
And for,
That's
the
serendipity.
beauty of bringing joy and attention to
Yeah.
football,
Yeah.
I'm having a bit of fun with it, right? But nothing but love for the guys there. And we had a great year together. And I also gave them a lot of value. I gave them social media exposure. And, from a good place in my heart, I wanted the club to lift up. But then also talking with some other players, they had some issues with the club, which I'll keep confidential. Long story short, I left the club in the summer, and then I was looking for a new club, and one of the clubs I was looking for, they were like very excited to bring me in. But then the week before bringing me in, they ghosted me. And then a couple weeks down the line, I asked one of my friends who had signed with the team, why was that? And the reason was, this guy has a social media brand that's quite big. If we bring him in, he'll take all the attention and take it away from our
No
club.
way. That's crazy.
And I was so frustrated. I
So
sat down.
ego was higher than actual.
Oh, 100%. There's so much ego in this game. There's so much ego in football and social media. And that's what
That's
happened.
crazy.
So I was upset because in my mind, I thought the same way I wanted to do it with my previous club.
Instead of collaborating and actually making bigger
Exactly.
things happen for win-win situation, I was like, no, I'm not gonna. Wow.
That's what I was thinking. I help you build the club. You help me build my brand. We grow
in
together.
in the most serendipitous way.
More attention. Everybody wins,
But ego was higher.
Ego is higher. So then I sat down one day in the living room. And in my mind, I'm like, where do we take this? And this idea came to me from the universe, from God. It was, what if you build your own pro football club, and part of this club, you teach your players and people who are part of the club how to be a multidimensional athlete, not only focus on football, build a personal brand,
All rounding, yeah.
work on the mind, build a growth mindset, learn how to connect, to network, learn how to budget, finances, how to invest. Give them the 360 approach, because
To
looking
make
back,
them independent and strong and courageous.
exactly, because looking back, a lot of my football teammates and former friends, they had football, but outside of football, they had nothing else.
So they were enslaved.
And secretly,
For a lack of a better word.
didn't have much money, weren't happy with their life. Don't show it. They only show it when they sign with the new team or when they have a good picture in the match. But unless you're the 0.1% who makes it to the top and makes a lot of money, and even some of them I've talked to and they're not the happiest people, you're not going to have the most fulfilling life and the most successful life. So I thought, what
Amen.
if we can create a platform to educate people and players on this? And the other angle of it was the business opportunity. If we have a massive social media,
Yep.
if we attach social media to the club, we can create a
Perfect
really
fandom,
cool
yeah.
fan base.
And they're actually, your fandom is actually because of football and because of, so it's like, it's not,
Exactly.
you're not pivoting.
And that was the why. So to answer your question, that was the why. It was, I lived a life where I'm so grateful the way my journey unfolded. I had so many setbacks and so many failures, but because
So
of
many scar tissues.
so many scar tissues. But because of all of that,
Yep.
God put me in a position to get to make the impact
Absolutely.
of Qabila
It
FC.
doesn't happen in a vacuum.
It doesn't happen.
It all makes sense.
And so that is the why. Now, we started quickly without having the plan. So this is the philosophy that I've used for so many other things in my life. I put my foot in the door, but I don't really know too much about it. But I really believe in speed, in execution, and having the confidence in figuring out the process. You don't have to have the process figured out, but too many people are sitting there waiting to have the process figured out. Weeks go by, months go by, 3 years has gone by.
Yep.
They haven't started.
Yep.
So as long as you have the confidence of you can figure out the process, you have a growth mindset,
full.
you're resourceful,
Yep.
you can do it. For us, that confidence was going to be a lot higher because we're going to do something that has never been done before. Building a professional football club in only 365 days from scratch. A world record. I sat in the living room with Daniel. I told him about the idea. We start going back and forth.
What
We're
did he
like-
say?
So at the
You remember?
time, his first response was,
Crazy.
"You're crazy." Because also the weeks prior,
Right.
he was helping me document my journey
Right.
on the come up for different stages of the journey. And he was making a plan with me about what is the next phase. We had just done we got promoted.
Gotcha.
What's next? How do we make people interested? How do we give them value?
Man, I'll tell you, let me interject here for a second. People do content of 30 days of cold showers, 30 days of no coffee, 30 days of this, 30 days of that. You did 365 days of becoming a pro and then building you're crazy, man. I gotta tell you.
So that's what he was saying at the time, because the weeks prior, we had made this whiteboard detailed about the next storyline, road to first division in Europe. It was something like that.
Right.
And I had gone to him, and for 2 weeks now, we'd been working on this roadmap. I'm like, I have a better idea. So then he's like, yeah, this could work. We go back and forth. We both really like the idea. And then we're like, okay, pro football club, we don't know anything about this, but we believe in the why, the impact, the purpose. We believe in it. We want to make this happen. And then pretty much a couple of days later, we announced the challenge. Day 1 of day 365 of trying to build a pro football club, not contract, much different.
Yep.
So
By that
Then-
time, you had over 1 million on TikTok.
around 1 million, I would say. Yeah.
Right.
Then we post the video, it gets good traction. We're like, okay, we should probably figure out how to do this. Get the whiteboard out, get the notebooks out. We're like, okay,
That's hilarious.
we need players, we need a coach, we need a financial guy, we need to create a 5-year financial model, we need money to pay the players, we need an investor. We start mapping out the roadmap. And then we put together a general roadmap. Okay, phase 1, brand identity. What's the club called? The name, the colors, everything. Round 2, getting the investor on board, and so on. We built the phase. Now, what made it special was I knew from my journey, by documenting it and getting the community involved in the journey, it built a lot of engagement, and it almost built this people wanted to help. Even on my journey, people would message me, hey, do you want to have a trial here? Can I connect you with this person? The power of personal brand. I knew if we use that same concept for building the club, it would create a magnet effect. That's what I called it at the time, where we're announcing it to the world and we're going to attract the right resources to make it happen. How can we make this even bigger is we get the fans involved in building it with us. So we let them pick the name, the colors.
No way.
Logo, they made it. So every time it was, guys, now it's time for the name. Comment your best names and we'll pick the top 10 and then we got thousands of names. Everybody commented different names. Then we reacted to the video. Here are the top 5 names. What do you guys think? We picked the name. We made an announcement video that was very engaging. That one blew up. Then next it was, okay, logo submissions. Everybody make your logos. And we would review logos. And then we pick a fan logo for the club.
You crowdsource everything.
Everything.
That's amazing.
And
so
then
people felt the ownership.
They felt the ownership. They felt like they're part of something.
Yep. They have an equity in it. Yep.
Fast forward a couple of months. And now I'm still going to events looking for investors to bring on. Fast forward a couple of months, I get invited to the UAE Super Cup. And I get invited to the bottom area where they lift the trophy at the end. And this one guy pulls me to the side. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Pulls me to the side. Wearing Condora clothing, brings me to another couple of group. And sometimes you sense the energy, like important people.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it's fine. Pull me. Yeah, pull me.
Hey, pull me more. It's fine. I'm down.
And I had the pleasure of meeting His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Sultan Al Nahyan at the time, our club president.
Yeah.
And he had said, hey, I've been watching your journey on the come up when you were trying to sign a pro contract and you first came to Dubai. I was watching that.
I swear to God, I have goosebumps.
And now I'm watching you build this club.
That's powerful.
And this is very cool and we should connect. And I said, yes, we should connect. And from that moment, we built a fantastic friendship over the next couple of months, which then turned into a business opportunity because the guy loves football. Young guy, but loves football. And part of his long-term vision is to be an owner of a football club as well. And long story short, over the next couple of months, as we're continuing to build different departments of the club, we build a closer relationship with him. And there are so many crazy stories about how that went and the ups and downs.
Of course, the protocols
But we made it happen. He joined the club, part of the ownership with us, officially our club president. And then parallel to that, we get our head coach.
We couldn't ask for better sort of energy and network.
Royal family here in the UAE.
100%, which is absolutely important, especially with your experience.
Yeah.
But especially in this part of the world, exactly.
And our head coach, guess who we got as head coach?
Uh-huh.
Stephen Taylor. He was my coach at Gulf United.
Are you serious?
So I was a player there. He was my coach. Now I'm building this club. And I'm like, come coach.
Oh, goodness me. That's
so now he's the coach. He is a former Premier League player. He played for Newcastle United for more than 10 years. Very well respected. And we were starting to put together the puzzle pieces to make this happen.
And where did you get the finances so far?
So the finances, the plan was, part of it was going to come from the Sheikh side, and the other part, as the story goes on, we had to get another private investor on board as well.
Right.
Long story short, we advance, and because of certain things, still ongoing, some confidential things, the amount of resources that we had access to and the release of it didn't go according to plan.
You're under the spotlight now.
And we had to execute. We had done so well, we got the pro license from the UAE FA. That's an important detail. So every year they give out about 2 licenses, pro licenses to join the UAE FA league system. We did it, so now we're official. So
what's the criteria?
So criteria is you need to have a very special club, A, B, C, D of what defines that, but then you need to be financially sustainable. Right? So you need to create a presentation and a model, a business model for your club that showcases that.
That's true.
Now, the confidence they get from that is usually academies have been around for 10 years. They have their numbers from previous years. They have their coaches who are licensed. They have their staff members. We were starting a couple months ago. So the energy we created so quickly to convince them to give us the license was truly incredible. But we got the license and now we had the commitment. August, we had to start preseason. September, our league started. Now those months hit. And unfortunately, due to some unexpected events, we now had to start with barely any resources. Now, as an
What's
entrepreneur,
resources? You mean
money.
players?
Money.
Oh, money.
Money.
Okay.
So we brought the players, we brought the coaches, and all of a sudden,
You need to pay a lot of people.
yeah. So we had to pivot and we had to adapt. We made it work over the last couple of months. It's our first ever year of playing in the UAE third division. Any new club joins the third division. And out of 18 clubs, we're currently in 5th place. The top 4 teams get promoted and move to the second division.
No way.
So in
From
our
the first
year, we're already competing for that promotion.
Well done.
We have 2.5 months left. And I'm very confident we can
From today.
squeeze in from today.
So you could get promoted.
We could get promoted. Technically, as of today, we have a game in hand from 4th place, and they're 3 points above us. If we win that game, we're tied. We still have
It's a
2.5.
point game.
It's a point game.
Right.
We have 2.5 months left. A lot can happen. But I'm sitting here today, confidently, I'm going to manifest and say on May 31st, 2025, we will get promoted to the UAE second division.
I'll call you. And I'll follow this because this is, I'll tell you what. Okay, so this is the longest answer to a why, but it's the most satisfying one. I gotta tell you, the amount of goosebumps, the amount of anxiety, the amount of crash that you've given me, it's just amazing. Look, there's lots of merit to what you're saying. Lots and lots of merit, which is something that I'm deeply engaged in, merit. Because, lots of people that go, and I have no beef with them. I have nothing against them, right? The second generation, the people who come out with knowing everybody, the people who are, like they have all the resources set, all the cards set for them.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's not their fault. I have no problems with that at all, right? Life is not fair, and that's how it should be, and that's how it is. But what gets everyone excited, including myself, especially myself, is when someone rises from the ashes. With all of, like, it gets me, I think because, and I'm notorious for this and I'm not popular because of it. I call it as it is. We, in this part of the world, are not like that. As much as we hate to say it, we like to talk about our ancestors. We're not as committed and as dedicated and as disciplined as we should be. And that's something that hurts me because exactly like what you said, the impact that you want to make, the mindset, it's really looking at yourself in the mirror and actually calling out everything that is out there that's holding you back from achieving what you should achieve, your true potential. But talking is easy and doing something about it. And that's the definition of merit. And your story from 2016 until today and prior even, your vision, your kind of the way you thought about how you're going to be in this really massive jungle, I would say. Massive jungle. Because I can only imagine, I don't follow sports, I just play sports. But I can only imagine that those 1% that rise at the top, there are probably millions, if not more, just don't make it. And they don't make it not because of anything apart from probably lack of discipline and, like you said, the naysayers. So from the injuries to the naysayers and the haters to the setbacks to the rejections, you had it all.
Yeah, and I think you're right. In this industry of professional sports, you have not even 1% who make it. It's literally less than 0.1% who make it. And it's a complicated equation where a lot of it has to do with hard work, dedication. You don't give up. You keep pushing. Those injuries happen. You continue to go on. You get put on the bench. You keep your mindset high. You continue to train even harder. So much of that. And then also the opportunities you're given. And certain people are born in certain parts of the world that make it more difficult. But the hard reality is, so what? Who is going to care? No one is going to care. So you have to take accountability of your own situation. If you're born in a place where you don't have the best resources, you don't have the best opportunities, what can you do? It's what you said about focus on what you can control, because too many of those people focus on what they can't control and they start becoming excuses that take away from the discipline and the hard work.
Because it makes them feel good, right?
Exactly.
Because they say, oh, it's not me, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
I see it in the entrepreneurship and in the business world. I mean, the one thing that I love about your story and everything that revolves around it is, like the other day I heard this documentary about the calendar age and the biological age. So you can be 51, but you're actually 32 biologically, right? And the 52, you can fake it. Like the age, you can fake it. You can have a document, but you cannot fake the 31 because you have to do like if you can't do 50 push-ups, there's no way on earth tomorrow you'll be able to do a 50 push-ups. It doesn't work that way. If you're not training, if you're not consistent for countless of hours and days and shoving snow and working with the band on with pills just to make sure that you're getting by, if you don't go through this, there's no way it doesn't happen overnight. Never. It's like this is the law of life. And that's merit, right? If you don't do it, like I always keep on saying it. People keep on asking me, Salah, how is this guy or how you're this or how you're that? I was like, just don't ask how, just do. And don't compare yourself to others. Like just do. That mindset of compare, like you said, your kids that you've seen yesterday.
Yeah.
They look up at you, which is good. But then the dangerous part is, oh, I'm here and he's there. That's actually a recipe for absolute opposite of discipline. Because guess what happens? You actually convince yourself, and by the way, you sleep happily with it, that, oh, it's not my fault. I'm here, I'm there. This is what happened, da, 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 da. And then, okay, fine. Then don't complain.
Yeah.
Just get out of my way. Get out of my world. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that is so deep in my soul that I'm happy to fight it, to make sure that everyone that I know in my circles are as disciplined as Soheil. And that's why I was excited about today.
Yeah, you can't cheat the work. You have to put in the work. And if you put in the work, you will continue to climb up the ladder of life, of fulfillment, of family, of relationship, of money, of whatever it is. But you have to put in the work.
And you know the difference between, let's say, business, venture building and sports? Is in venture building, let's say in my world, right?
Yeah.
I can cheat the 2 letters before the acronyms. I can say I'm a doctor, whatever. I can do that. I can fluff. Maybe I'm an extrovert. I'm a charismatic. I'm able to put thoughts into words in a way that capture people. I can fake that, right?
Yeah.
I can fake a PowerPoint presentation for someone to say, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can make you this money. And, VCs get scammed, not scammed, but kind of get swayed all the time. But those sort of glamorous presentations or people who are charismatic and energetic and so on and so on. You can do all of that. But in your world, it can't work. Because guess what? When you're on the field during those 45 or 90 minutes, you'll gas out. You'll gas out. Or you'll not perform as the next best player who put in the work probably 10 times more than you did. And you were slacking around. Like merit actually shows in your world, and you cannot fluff about it. Which takes me to my next question here. Because I checked your team. Tell me about them.
The team of players.
Yes.
Just quickly on what you said, there's this phrase that has been in my mind lately, which you nailed it spot on. Those who cheat in training shall bleed heavy in war. That applies directly to sports, like you said. And I see it now in training is the guy who thinks just because the coach is not near and he doesn't hit the white line by even 2 inches, that is the same guy who in the game, when that pass gets played across and his foot goes and he doesn't make it by 2 inches, he misses out on the goal.
Oh my God.
And it's those little differences that the difference between a champion and somebody great is when no one is watching, what standards do you have? Do your standards raise because somebody else is watching? Or are you able to withstand with your own standards despite your surrounding environment? And I think if you can have high standards despite what's going on around you, you're going to be a champion in life. So with our team.
Sooner or later.
Sooner or later.
Yep.
If you stay persistent, it's going to happen. With our team right now, Qabila FC. So we have, what a team do we have? What a journey it has been, by the way. So there's so much behind the scenes also from my POV of club owner, player, now transitioning into coach, running all the different departments. It's been crazy.
Are you actually the play in the game as well, or you don't?
Yeah, so
you do.
I'll quickly, because I did the journey to pro, and that was the dream I had at a certain stage. And as life goes, you evolve, and your dreams can evolve, and your goals can evolve. It's completely fine. And for myself, I was actually going to stop playing this past summer. But then the
Because of lots of
fans and
responsibilities and
yes, and also my heart started gravitating more towards the giving back to the other players. Now I have
Gotcha.
this club. I can focus on the 23 players. I can focus on the fans, educate
you
them,
only have 24 hours, right?
and building the business that. So I was gonna stop this summer, but then the fans and certain people said, "What if you give it one last year
No
to
way.
end the story?" This kid who went on a journey of trying to sign a pro contract, went through all the ups and downs. Finally, he signed the contract. Through the journey, he got inspired to build his own club, plays for the club, and gets promoted in the first ever year. What a cool story that would be. So that's why this year, the first half of the season, I was playing because of certain things that have happened at our club, and we want to change the culture. As a founder of the club, we decided now stepping into a coaching role besides Stephen Taylor, I can drive standards. I can drive culture a lot stronger than as a player. So now it's crazy from owner to player to coach to running all these different
my
things. But the players on our team have been special from all different parts of the world. We've had players from Africa, from Europe, from North America. It's been interesting to see how we can build the chemistry between them. Some of our players are very raw and they came from places where they had nothing. Some communities in Africa, in Ghana, in Ivory Coast, where they didn't have much, but they continued to train. They eventually got seen by someone and took the risk to come here. And we've given them an opportunity to shine. Other players have played in the U21 Premier League, former England international youth players, played in QPR, 4 years professional in the championship. So we also have some very experienced players. And right now we've signed a lot of new players. By the way, next week we are about to announce our most exciting signing so far. When you think of UAE third division, you don't think this is even possible. But next week it's going to drop on our pages, so I'm excited for that. But our team we've had a lot of ups and downs, to be honest with you. It's our first year running the club.
It's dealing with people, right?
Dealing with people. But we've got the players and then we've got the staff team as well. And overall, we've had our ups and downs, but we're continuing to move forward. And our big goal collectively this year is to squeeze into the top 4 because we really want to get promoted.
What's the biggest challenge in hiring people from this part of the world as players? As uncensored and unfiltered and possible, as a kind of point of
I'll be real.
improvement? Be real.
I'll be real. Hiring players for our team, I'll be real. Like, I'll get specific with it. We have players from everywhere. We've got players from Europe, from Africa, from UAE, Middle East. The players from Africa, what I've noticed, and every person is different. I'm generalizing here.
Yeah.
The players from there, very committed, disciplined, grateful, never complain really. However, socially, it's difficult to get them to be involved with other cultures. Take initiative to talk with other people, social skills that builds the team bond, builds the team chemistry. Also, because they didn't have access to maybe education or skill sets on their come up, they do team training, then they go back and they don't do much else with their life outside of football. So they might be playing a game on their phone, they might be sleeping most of the day. Whereas part of our vision is you do the training. Yes, you need to have your rest, but also you have hours in your day. Create some content, build a personal brand, learn something about this topic. So that's something
Pushing
I've
them to
noticed
do that, yeah.
we're trying to push,
Mm.
but it's difficult with certain cultures and certain backgrounds of people. The ones who have come from England, great experience, great footballers, but because they've come from an environment where football has been at its highest, and then they come here, sometimes they don't realize they've come to 1, a third division club, 2, a first year club, a startup, and they have a bit of maybe the ungratefulness of they don't appreciate the opportunity as much as they should. So it's been difficult dealing with that energy, and that starts to impact the team.
Of course.
Then on the local front, I've noticed great hospitality. They want to give a lot to the team, but from a mindset, from a work ethic perspective,
Commitment, yeah.
a bit soft. Doesn't have you're in training, you're giving 110%. You're going to put that tackle in. You're going to show up on time. It's a little bit of that soft culture I've noticed in the UAE where they had everything growing up. So there wasn't that incentive to need to work for something and grind for it to get the opportunity. And because they probably have money, So if they maybe get a bonus for a win, they're not as incentivized
The
as
incentive is not money.
the African players. So now imagine dealing with all of these
Oh my
different
God.
dynamics. And now you've asked me the challenges. So I'm talking about the challenges.
Yes.
There's a lot of great things as well. But on a challenges front, it's as an entrepreneur and as a leader of this team, how can you get all of these people to work together and
To roll in the same direction.
roll in the same direction and maintain a great team culture?
Right. Look, we can go hours on culture, but th- this is one of the things that, when it comes to, let's say, our part of the world, because I consider, so it's not a certain country or it's not a certain sort of people. It's just,
Yeah.
I say GCC and Jordan is just kind of one block of land, and I'm part of this land. Obviously, I was born and raised here. I'm from Jordan, originally from Palestine. So it's just the same people. And our people have the Inshallah culture, which is the soft culture you mentioned, right? It's just this extreme hospitality, genuine,
Yeah.
extreme welcoming, giving, like they want to give selflessly. That's great. But then there's the missing of the commitment and the actual putting in the work. Like they have no problems we have no problems in hiring someone to do the work for us. And we'll be able to be super diligent in managing them and having the vision and having sort of the goals and, following through on it. But in sports, doesn't work that way. You have to put in the work because otherwise on the field, you will bleed. And that's difficult. So what do you think the solution to this, in your opinion? And again, not a single people. I'm talking about, because you look at all the football clubs, right? In Saudi,
Yeah.
in Jordan, in Kuwait, in UAE, and you see this dichotomy between the local players. Of course, there's this massive, big players who can make it, right? But we're talking about culture, like you
Yeah.
said. Culture is the collective behavior of the group that makes them distinct. That's why you look at the African people, and you see how disciplined they are and motivated. You look at the, let's say, European people, you look at the Eastern, Chinese people or Indian people or whatever, you can have some sort of a stereotype. And that's not political. That has some reality in it, right? So what do you think the solution to it in your opinion?
I have an answer. I'm just genuinely curious from your side because you grew up here, right?
Yep.
Do you feel like you growing up here, that soft culture also infiltrated into your mind?
Absolutely. And I had to fight it every day of my waking life. The only difference is I can't be complacent. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Because the moment I'm complacent, I'm hungry.
Yes.
See the difference? The moment I'm complacent, I'm hungry. If you are complacent but you don't go hungry, meaning you don't get stung, then why would you do it other way? You know what I mean? Like this is, and it's deep into the awareness of people and how they see things. Because it's not a bad behavior. Again, this is my field of research. That's why I'm happy to talk about it from a position of expertise. I'm not just putting my opinion out there. But of course, you have observations, you have experiences that you go through, and you have results. Because it doesn't matter what you see, it doesn't matter what you say, it's results, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking specifically about sports, but of course this carries forward to many things in life. And, if you're able to pay your way through that, okay, that carries a certain merit. But that's that, and that's good, and that's no easy feat. And, most people have money and they don't make it, and that's why it's not, I'm not devaluing or downplaying any sort of achievement at any level. It's just that's good to great. That level of, what? Okay, we made this. What's next? Let's just be disciplined enough to just go to what's next. That's what I thought.
So what I've noticed is from my experience in football and also seeing other players that I've played with, and then that also I've noticed in business, by the way, it's transitioned, is so here I've came and I've noticed a lot of people have that softness to them. It's not just people here. And there are people here who have a strong mindset
Absolutely.
and they're willing to work
Yes.
hard. But overall, again, in general, I've noticed that soft culture. You have it in different parts of the world as well.
Yes.
And you have it with different individuals. I've noticed a common theme between the ones who have that mindset of I'm willing to do whatever it takes to become successful, whatever that definition is for themselves. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to battle. Especially athletes who are willing to work 3 levels deeper when they're fatigued and they feel like they can't, or they're willing to wake up 5:30 a.m., they go to the football pitch and train, even if it's cold or even if they're tired, they're willing to do it. The common theme that I've noticed is 2 things. One, they usually come from a place of they don't have much in life. So they don't have much money. Maybe their parents, resources, they weren't given much. It's either that or they have a really strong why, something that drives them. And the ones who have the resources and the money, they need to have the why and something strong to drive them for them to have that hard mindset. That's what I've noticed in athletes. So, for example, I'm going to give you a very crystal clear example. A lot of our players who come from, I'm going to give you an example. We have some players from Ghana. In Ghana, they have nothing. I mean, they have, of course, their family there. They have somewhere to live.
You're talking about
Materialistic. They don't really have the most comfortable house. They don't have just money on the side saved up. They don't have, the nicest foods to eat. They're in a place where it's scarcity. They want more. They need more, right? So when they come here to Dubai, everything's on the line. Everything is on the line. There, if training starts at 7 a.m., they're going to be there 15 minutes early at least. When they go home, yes, I said sometimes they sleep and they play video games, but they're going to also try and put in that extra work of, okay, we're going to go do some extra push-ups. We're going to do what we can to improve. When we're in the fitness drill, this is what I noticed, by the way, in preseason, Steven Taylor makes us run like crazy. And I'm pretty fit and I'm running like crazy. I remember this one drill, I'm going. This we have to do 15 laps.
Right.
And I have the lead. Lap 13, I'm looking like left, right. I'm like, this is me. This is me, founder of the club. I'm leading the tribe. Let's go. I enter lap 14. One of our African players is coasting by me.
Oh my God.
And the expression he had on his face is he could do 10 more laps. And it's that dedication, which I know he was fatigued. He was tired, but his why was, if I have a great season, that could change my life for my parents. That could change my life for my siblings back home. That could change my life for my future kids. And for me to have a great season, it starts in this drill. For me to have a great season, I need to become fit. I need to be the best in this drill. And they have that. Whereas maybe some other players who have a better situation, hey, if I finish 8th in this drill, I go home, I have a nice meal, I have my villa in whatever community here in the UAE, and I have money in my pocket already. So that whole, they don't have it.
That's very human.
It's very human.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it, what I've noticed is the ones who have a strong why and a strong reason. So I am fueled by the wanting more. I mean, grew up in a mid-class family who had some struggles of immigrating, and we weren't ever in a position where we could just buy whatever we want, right?
Yeah.
So there was that desire in me that, hey, I want to become massively successful to give back to my parents because they've done so much for me. However, I also have a strong why, which is, having lived my journey, I now know if I show up as my best self, if I train the best, if I play the best, if I build the club the best possible way, I get to make an impact to millions of people watching and hopefully inspire them and educate them on how to live more fulfilling lives. And because it's a strong why, when things get difficult, whether it's in a training session or I'm fatigued at 2 a.m. and I need to stay up an extra hour to get something done, I'm willing to do that. I don't have the soft mindset of, oh, I'm tired or this is difficult and I'm going to stop. So those are the two common themes I've noticed. It's either you're in a spot where you didn't have much growing up and you don't have much, or you have a really strong why and a purpose that drives you. It drives you.
That's powerful. That's powerful because that exactly rhymes with every theory about human behavior. Incentive drives behavior. And you just articulated so eloquently the two drivers for human behavior: resources and purpose, goal, right? The why. Because if your why is so one of the things that, for example, drives me crazy is the why for me. Obviously, I'm also resources. I'm not well off. I'm not a second generation wealth person who can go back to his, daddy's villa and whatever, which is fine. People who have that, that's okay. And I keep on repeating this because I know people start, this.
Yeah.
But my why is really two parts. First part is national pride. And when I say national, I mean nation. I mean the block of land, this piece of land from the GCC and Jordan and everything around it. And it's not out of competition. It's out of contribution. Let me explain what I mean. So some people feel like, oh, we're in competition in the world. It's like, no. There's abundance. And the growth mindset comes with abundance mindset, right?
Yeah.
There's abundance. There's resources for everyone. There's no shortage of anything in the world, anywhere. Like, okay, so if we're not doing this, then we're not contributing. Therefore, the world is missing. And the world is missing on something that potentially could solve bigger problems. And that's the chain reaction that I am seeing, that if you, like, for example, if you look at now on the technological idea exportation or kind of production, anything that has to do with actual production. So there are two types of, let's say, in economy, there are two types of economies, right? There's value exchange and value creation. So for example, financial sector is value exchange. You're not creating value out of thin air. Whereas, for example, technology is value creation. You're creating something out of nothing. So you're actually adding to the value system, not just real estate, for example, is value transfer.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in an economy, when you have an economy that's based mostly on one versus the other, especially the one that is kind of value exchange, then lots of things will happen. They will have a concentration of wealth. They'll have a concentration because the exchange will then be going into a certain direction for whatever reason, depending on the region, obviously, and the country and the kind of parameters that you're playing with. But the other thing is, you're not creating. You're not adding to the world. You're just playing with what you have. And that's basic. That's simple. That's not something that you get excited about, right? So when you look at the world and you see the idea exportation, technology exportation, sort of general contribution to every discipline in life, you look at the West and you find obviously heat maps like crazy, obviously, right? You go to the East and you see heat maps like crazy in all things, including sports.
Yeah.
But then you look at in the middle, right? The sliver of land, and you'll find it as a black spot in all metrics. When you talk about academic contribution, I'm talking about today, and this is as real as it can get, right? Sports, everything, right? But then that's not a good thing or a bad thing. That's amoral. So I try to abstract myself from value judgments, right? Like, this is not a good or a bad thing. This is the reality. It's a descriptive reality of how it is today, right? And we have to understand it first to be able to diagnose it and then find, I wouldn't say a solution, because maybe it's not a problem. I don't know. But do we need to stay here or not? That's the question. If we're happy and we need to stay here, then we need to understand the consequences. And once we understand the consequences strategically, not today, in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, that will be the why. So when I say the national pride, I don't mean it in the nationalistic flag sort of, no. I don't mean it that way. I mean it in we're happy standing on the same podium as the rest of the world. Not always in the spectator bench, if that makes sense. Not because of, I'm missing out. No. I'm missing out on contributing, not on taking. So one thing I noticed about because I'm very particular about language, Soheil. One of the things that I've noticed in all of your stories that you've just beautifully laid out today is that you never mentioned taking. You always said giving. I need to say how I can give value. I'm thinking about how I can give. Give. It's crazy. You think about, it's like sports. The more you consume energy, the more you have energy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's not like anything else in the world, right? So similarly, people don't think about giving. And that's I think, the why in my mind. If you have the why, if you're well off, if you have everything stacked up in your favor, which is not a bad thing, again, it's a really good thing, then maybe you have a bigger responsibility to see what are you actually contributing to the world meaningfully, not performatively and not decoratively, meaningfully, substantively, en masse. Again, I'm not talking about individuals. There are brilliant individuals from everywhere in the world. I'm talking about a nation, a block of land with the people that in it. And again, it's not about passports. You and I are here. We are actually contributing, although I don't have the passport from this country, for example, right? But that's what I mean. Like, everyone who's living here, how can you work together? And that's my why. To figure out, talking to people like you, what can we do to actually make this, to scream from rooftops, to actually shout it from rooftops, to make people think, okay, enough talk? Can I just own it and figure out how to do it on the way? Get injured, have scar tissues, that's good. Get stressed, perfect. Because stress is the only way you can build a muscle. You and I know that, right? From training. You have to get stressed, because if you didn't reach the level of stress, if you're always in the comfort, it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
I mean,
That's beautiful, by the way. And I think growing up, maturing through career, through life, even for myself, I'm still young, I would like to say. I mean, we're all young. 10 years ago, a couple of years ago, it was very like self-oriented. You know, the why you're doing it.
It was
I think it's
intrinsic.
natural. I mean, every single person growing up, you always think about, okay, I want to do this for myself or this. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know,
exactly, there's no wrong or right.
there's nothing wrong with that, by the
No,
way.
no.
You need to want to do things for yourself. And for you to be able to do things for others the best possible way, you need to
100%.
maximize yourself.
100%.
However, you get to a point in life where it's a transition, and the fulfillment that you get with making the impact to other people and contributing to, whether it's on a countrywide or something bigger, or even on an individual front, and it's just one other person that you're impacting, when it becomes not yourself, but it becomes something greater than yourself,
And you would know. You're not doing it for the likes.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for the fame. And most definitely, you're not doing it performatively. You're doing it like you said something that is in my philosophy since I can remember. You do something, test yourself. Do you get motivated if someone is watching or not? And do you do it even more with quality, with sincerity, when no one is watching or not? That is something, that's a gauge. That's a key performance indicator. Let's talk business. That's a KPI that you only will be able to measure. No one on the face of the earth will be able to measure. No one. When the camera switches on, are you yourself or are you someone else? You would know. No one else would know, right? And your fans connected with you because they saw through you. They saw that. And you were as sincere and as honest and as unfiltered. And that's amazing.
Yeah, they always say that too. Whenever I meet people who watch my stuff in person, they're like, you're the same exact person that you are on video, because I genuinely, I'm authentic, I'm raw, I am who I am.
That's sad. You know what's sad? It's because people think that it's not. It shouldn't. You
Yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
the
Like,
thing, yeah.
for example, I hate the social media game. I hated it for the longest period in my life because I have to play by the rules of the game. I have to play by the hooks, by the clickbaits, by the crazy stuff that you have to play to get people's attention in this massive jungle of cats and models and, you know, all those sort of people who claim to be athletics because they have six packs and they can't even run a K. You have to compete with them. It is what it is. It is what it is. And I hated myself for it. By the way, before it, so your story is 2020, you kind of transitioned and came here.
Yeah.
My story is 2020, I actually signed up to all my social media.
Really?
Never had
for that, you were off the grid.
Absolutely not even consuming it. Not even on my phones. Nothing.
When you first started, did you have any feelings of, oh, what are people going to think of this video or what?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I mean, it's not online now because now I'm trying to kind of revamp the whole thing, but I have no problems in sharing it. I had actually, like, the moment I switched the camera, I'm not me. And I actually said it in one of the videos, like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Like, it's crazy, right? And I was very aware of it, that I didn't want to mask it.
Yeah.
I wanted to own it. So when time comes like this and I'm comfortable and I'm doing these things, I actually know that no. Now I'm transitioning of this is not me. I'll go back. You know, remember the skill to be unconscious? You have to make it unconscious to be able to have this discussion as unfiltered and raw as possible.
Yeah.
And not think about the cameras and the people that are watching, even if it's one person, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? I am who I am and I'm happy and proud of it. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'll course correct and I'll move on. And my life is about, it's a massive calibration and optimization kind of metrics, everything that I do, right? And when I owned it, then it became easy. But that came after years, obviously, and countless hours. And because maybe I started late, I don't know. Maybe because I started very late, so I started in my 40s. I think it would have been substantially different than if I started when I was, let's say, I don't know, in my 20s or teens. Simply because it's not just me, right? Obviously, when you reach to your 40s and beyond, you represent a massive group of people that not just representation from a reputation perspective, but also from, they actually depend on you, right? Your kids, your family, generally speaking, your extended family, God knows how many houses you're providing for. So all of the system that gets built up organically as you grow up has a toll on you. And that, I remember it was a complete, like, I remember when I was in my teens and 20s, I had no problem. Like, I remember I had, by the end of the month, literally nothing. I was scrambling for, the crumbs of bread that is hard.
Yeah.
Put it in milk and then just drink.
That was your lunch.
That's it. I promise you. I had a yogurt store. I was living in Jordan when I was, so I studied in Jordan, right? I had nothing in the last 5-6 days before my allowance is in. And I was working at the time as well. So I had a yogurt place where it's like natural, organic. Yeah, in Jordan, you have these organic yogurts who has his own cattle and just bring it to the shop. I used to come down, have this 1 kg of really raw kind of organic, quote unquote, in these days, in these terms, yogurt for, in dirhams, 2.5 dirhams. Right?
Wow.
50 fils in JDs, right? So, and next to it, there was a bakery. I used to get for, let's say, half a dirham, 2 pieces of bread. And that was sustaining me for 5 days. And I can't tell you how happy I was. Like, I didn't think about, how can I not get this or get that? And that's why, looking back, I'm like, I remember how I felt. I truly remember. Like, I could live by with no food, live in my whatever, on any bed, and do things. Like, do things, right? But at that time, I didn't know any better. Obviously, it's an explanation. It's not an excuse. And this is not me justifying to anybody. Obviously, I have no one to answer for. But the point is, anyone who is in their 20s and teens and younger, obviously in any stage of life, but especially in the 20s, taking risks, getting that one-way ticket, if you have to do it, do it.
Yeah, that is the time to taste and try as many things as possible. And the biggest regret would be getting to a stage in life where your capacity for tasting and trying is not as high as...
And you knew it, right? So that's why I have zero regrets, because I know that I didn't know it, right? I knew it because I worked. Like, I was 18. I got my first job when I was 18.
Yeah.
While I was in college, I just, I didn't need to. Well, I didn't need to, quote unquote, because my dad used to give me my allowance, but I still worked because I was like, I need to do things, like just going to the college and coming back. So I got hit physically on my face by my whatever, who was the owner of that shop. I was a kid, but I didn't know any better. Like, for my time back in the 90s, this is how I thought life is. And that's why awareness is, and you said it, awareness is the basic foundational prerequisite for everything, right? If there's one thing that you would change to actually get promoted, and you have a magic wand with a little star and the glitter coming out of it, and you're like, boop, what would that be?
If there's one thing I could change in our current situation that will help us get promoted,
whether within you or within the environment or within anything, that will actually accelerate you getting promoted.
Yeah, okay. So I will give a simple answer and then a more complicated answer. The simple answer
I'm growing
is
to love your complicated answers, by the way.
having more funds. Because if we have access to more money, we can activate a lot of the things to help us get promoted. So now I will talk about what those things are. But that's the simple answer.
Yeah.
So
simple answer for a lot of things.
For a lot of things. So the more complicated answer is, now if we can have access to those resources, I would make everything better than it is right now. And when I say everything better, I mean the product of Qabila FC. When we have a first team, professional team, right now we're training 4 or 5 times a week. We get the boys in the gym once a week. We do a recovery session once a week. We try to do it once a week. We have the games. What if they have 5 times more gear? What if they have 3 training sessions in the gym? What if they have access to physio a lot more? What if they have this is something I've been wanting to implement, but it will take some time. Every week when they walk into training, they have a sheet or an iPad that they need to fill out. Like, how does your mind feel? What is your mental health like? What parts of your body are sore today? Confidence levels, like what's the messaging been in your mind this last week? Those details that are in the vision, but part of the execution is tied to having resources to be able to activate it. So those are some of the things that I would activate, which would put us in a better position to get promoted. My more excited thing that I would want to change is our dream was in year 1 to also have a full-on documentary documenting everything, because it's really cool, right?
Right.
So far we've done a lot of short format content, which is cool. It gets the views, it keeps
But
people
you could use it for documentary,
we could
no?
use it. We could use it, but there's also a beauty in doing the long format content
Right.
and having that done consistently. So I think from a more fun perspective of what could I change, I would love to just have a media team on site
Like a time lapse.
24/7
Right.
and like picking up on like the conversations before the game and like the locker room, and we're picking up moments of it right now, but that's something I would change for sure. But the answer would be making the product and the experience better for the first team players and the coaching staff, because ultimately that then puts them in a better position to perform and get the promotion.
So that you think you're confident it will get you kind of, obviously you don't have
No
an
one
8
can-
ball,
Yeah.
but that you think is the kind of not block, but sort of resistance that
Resistance.
Okay.
If we make the change, our chances will be smoother, lighter.
Right.
It will increase.
Your
I'm
slide.
sitting here on this chair and I know we'll get promoted. It
Yes,
will happen.
Yes.
We're going to get promoted. However,
Consensus, yeah.
if we have some of these things implemented,
It
maybe
accelerates.
we'll win by more games. Maybe that one game that was a tie, we get to win instead. So it will accelerate those things. And ultimately, they're all part of the vision, but we're a year 1 club, so it takes time to execute on things.
So can you see the next question?
The next question that you're going to ask,
Uh-huh.
something about year 2 or promotion?
No.
What is it?
What's stopping you?
Of activating those things?
Yep.
Well, a lot of them are tied to money and
Yeah,
resources.
what's stopping you from getting more resources?
So we're in discussions right now because we had year 1 planned in a certain way. So we've entered year 1 with a certain plan, and then we had that situation come. So we're adapting a lot with what we're able to activate. And then in our grand plan, we were going to have our next round of funding come in really in the summer, which propels us for year 2. So we're trying to do what we can right now in the current situation, but we are having 1 or 2 discussions to make that happen.
Could that happen before that actually can springboard you into promotion?
It can happen.
Too?
Yeah,
Could.
it could happen. Yeah.
What could you do to actually guarantee it happening instead of can happen?
I would say bending a little bit in terms of business deal that is in negotiation right now.
Equity?
So
You share?
equity, yeah. Like, because
Why
right now,
don't you want to do it?
From-
Dilution?
yeah, negotiation from a business perspective, because one perspective is looking out for the business in terms of how much equity is smart to give away in the context of a football club, and it being a business that is funding heavy, to be honest. We do want to make something very unique happen with Qabila FC, which is if we can focus on fan engagement, on sponsorships, on social media, start creating revenue through that, I genuinely believe we can get to a stage where our football club becomes profitable, which for people who aren't aware of the football space or sports world, a lot of the sports world is crazy rich people who just throw money down the drain. And yes, the big clubs, they end up making some money, but a lot of them are in debt. And it's actually not a smart business model to run. I wouldn't run this model if it wasn't for the why and the impact. But
Go ahead.
but essentially the reason why is we're just trying to be smart with equity allocation and things like that for them.
So one route is equity. Obviously,
Right.
another route is dangerous, and obviously just delete what I say, which is bank loans, right? That's no, right? But then you said something else: sponsorship and fan engagement.
So you know what we're doing?
Uh-huh.
Crowdfunding. Very
Ta-da!
excited. We're going to be launching this very soon. It's in the works behind the scenes. Teaser's going to go up soon.
But
in the next couple weeks.
you've finished the paperwork, the regulatory, the compliance, because this is massive.
It is
You can't
massive.
just- Yeah, but you have to do it really right.
We have to
And
do
you
it
have to
right.
set up a fund, and you have
Right.
to make sure that it's regulated. So usually
Yeah.
it's super easy once it's done. But then once it's done and the legalities is done, so are you on top of things?
That part is in process. The fun, exciting part, and also the important part of marketing and the strategy and how we're going to go around the campaign. We have something really exciting there. but we're still just getting our
And
pieces
timelines
together
are
that way.
okay. They're not slipping away.
Timelines are not slipping away. I mean, we're in a position where we'd love to do it as soon as possible.
Of course.
And it'll be an exciting thing too, because it'll allow the crowd to get involved deeper with the
Yes,
football club
yes.
and support us in the same way they can get involved in a football
What
club.
about
And
corporate sponsorships?
corporate
You have
sponsorship,
deals.
we've got 2-3 in the works right now. One very exciting one, which we're looking to close on the front
Yep.
of the kit.
Oh, wow.
We are still looking for a sleeve in the back. So we're in negotiations.
We have
However,
three placements.
3 big ones, and then the others would be like on our training gear. It would be like media sponsorships, banner sponsorships. But I would say the 3 most exciting ones are definitely the front of the kit, the sleeve, and the back. So we currently are about to close one for the front of the kit, but the sleeve and the back are open. So that's an exciting space to tap into.
So you're focusing on those two more than the venture-backed sort of equity sharing model, right?
Yeah, I would say we're focused on both because ultimately we need to activate both if we want to get to the ADNOC Pro League, which is the highest league. Because ultimately, as you continue to grow in the tier system and our plan is to get promoted, we need to / want to have access to more funds to be able to bring better players on board, better resources on board. And that is the reality of professional sports at its highest level. There's
anywhere in the world. I mean, let's say you're a startup and you're a startup that grows up and your finances get so messed up. You need to bring a big CFO. Obviously, you have to pay him a good check. I mean, that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, those people who are really athletic or who are really competent in what they do deserve to be paid really well. And that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're building something bigger than the monthly check that you're getting, right?
Yeah.
You're building something much, much bigger. So listen, we're coming to an end. This has been super energetic. I ask a question by the end that usually throws people off, but I have a feeling that you're not going to be thrown off by it. If there's one question you would want me to ask, what would that be?
To me? Well, one question to ask me is, I think an interesting one is tapping into my deepest why, because I've expressed some of my purpose and the impact that I want to make. But that is my deepest why, and the way I've been conditioned in my life is to be very independent, lone wolf, and not speak about those things. And it's something also with my business partners. I'm a very independent. I keep things to myself, and these driving things, they drive me. So that's an interesting one. And the other route would potentially be talking about the vision of Qabila FC and where I see it going in the future, because I love the idea of speaking something into existence. And then in 5 years, we meet again, we do another podcast, or in 10 years, and we look and it's like, whoa, the stadium is there and the training facility is there. So either of those questions.
Let's tack one. The first one. What's your deepest why?
So my deepest why is, and this is what drives me the most, nothing comes close to it. It is my mom and my dad. Nothing drives me more than my parents. And the reason why is because they grew up in Iran and they had their difficulties there, but my mom studied medicine. She was a medical doctor, and my dad studied engineering. He actually went to Austria to do his engineering degree, so that got them moved to Vienna, Austria, and then they had us kids and they grew up there, and again worked so hard, already immigrating once to another country, different culture, didn't come from wealth, and really had to build up their life. And then they decided to take another risk and go to Canada. And the move for Canada was 2 reasons. One, for them to obviously get their doctor role and the engineering role in North America, in Canada, in hopes of having the career there, but also for the kids, the education. When you live in Europe at the time, you look at North America as, if I can get my kids educated there, it's going to be fantastic for them. So they made the move essentially for us. That's my meaning and how I view it. And they made the move over, and they made the move during a very difficult time. It was 2008. It was a couple years before they heard, hey, you come here, you've got your degrees, you're going to get the jobs like this. They went over, and it was very difficult for them to get their jobs. So they tried to apply. They did all the testings possible. I remember they went over, and my first job, my dad was working at a convenience store, like the shop by the gas station, just to be able to make money to support the family. And my mom was just also getting a job that was outside of her field, just to, again, make money. And she was working from morning to nighttime. And then the extra hour she would have in her day, she would do volunteer experience to try and put herself in a better position so that when the medical exam comes, because she did her degree somewhere else. So when the medical exam comes, hopefully she's in a better position to get that job. And she did that for years and years and years. And so did my dad. And now they're both in somewhat better positions, but ultimately they could never really get into that engineering job and the doctor job that they had worked so hard to do. I mean, my mom, I don't know, probably 90% of her life growing up, but the parts that I've been grateful to know about is that she was so dedicated. She was the one student who got 99%, 100% on all her tests. And she was so disciplined and sacrificed other areas of her life to be so good at education, to then have this job of being a doctor, to then give back to the people, because genuinely that she's all about giving back, but also to make a good amount of money to help her family and have good life for her kids. And then for them to go through all of that and end up in the position they did, for me as a kid, you don't have the mindset, you don't realize. But then as I developed and I start to, train my mindset and become aware of my thoughts and also become aware of other people, and I start connecting the dots, and I started to feel this why and this deep drive of, wow, they worked so hard to allow me to be in a position where I even get the shot at being able to build up what I've built. I even get to have the shot.
Yeah.
That for me, it's like I feel in debt in a good way.
Yes.
I want to work hard, be my best self. I want to make a lot of money, build a lot of network connections, and yes, make the impact, the why that I talked about, to other people. But ultimately, there's nothing closer to you than family and to your parents.
Absolutely.
And because my why is connected to them and they're my parents, that to me is my deepest why. It's like when we went to the grocery store and I didn't pick up on those things, but for some reason we're looking at a newspaper, getting the coupon codes before it. Like, why did we do that? I didn't get it at the time, but then you look back, you realize, or why do we go for the sale items where, instead we could be going for other items, or why have we not taken a family vacation in 10 years? You start picking up on these things and you start understanding self-awareness and social awareness and emotions in people and empathy, and you pick up on these things. So that over the years has ingrained into me to become my deepest why. So if I had to give a selfish why, which you can perceive it as not selfish because it's doing it for my parents, but my selfish why is I want to become greatly successful in all areas of my life to be able to give back to them.
Surprise. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, everything you say is just so cohesive. Anyway, so listen, it's 2035, right? It's 2035. Welcome back to Escapade Leaders Edition, season 100, whatever. Right? How is Qabila doing? Tell me, Soheil. I haven't caught up with you for some time now.
Well, Qabila FC is in the Asian Champions League. We're competing in the Asian Champions League. We were a club that was only built in 365 days. And now we're in the biggest competition in the world in our region. And we've definitely won the league title in the ADNOC Pro League by then. So we're a first division club. We're competing in the Asian Champions League. But most importantly, we've created a legacy. And this legacy is that the next generation of athletes understands that it's not just about your sport. It's not about this one-dimensional, you go to your football pitch or your basketball court, you do the sport, you go home, that's it. No. To be an athlete is a lot more about your sport. You need to develop your mind. You need to develop persistence, hard work. You need to understand finances, how to budget, how to save. You need to understand diet. You need to understand recovery, how to sleep, how to speak with people. It's how to be a great human being. That is the legacy we've made, is teaching our athletes and athletes around the world not only to be winners on the football pitch, but also outside of it. And that is where I see the club. Now, a crazy vision that we have is once Dubai is successful, we're going to plant this club in other parts of the world. So by then, you never know. We might have one in the USA, might have one in Europe, different parts of the world. But that's where we're going to be in 2035.
That's amazing. Okay, speak to the camera and speak to your fans and tell them something that you didn't tell them so far.
About myself?
Floor is open to yours. It's you and your fans.
Okay, well, I think if I'm speaking to the fans who've been tuning into the content, you guys would be interested to hear this because you've seen me do my journey to pro. And obviously, you guys know I didn't come from much. Like, I didn't have connections, didn't have network. I grinded. Like, early mornings, late nights, I grinded and I did the journey to pro. And you guys saw all that on TikTok, on Instagram. You saw the success that could come out of it. Then I decided to build Qabila FC. And I did it for you guys. And I did it for so many people out there who, in their journey, they haven't been treated fairly. They haven't had the knowledge and the tools to be able to have the best career possible. So my career, I went through so many mistakes and so many setbacks. I've now built this platform to help you guys. But I know sometimes you look at me and you're like, wow, Soheil Var, like he's got everything figured out. He's in Dubai. He has his pro football club. So cool. Guys, the last 6, 7, 8 months, it's been a grind. Like I'm waking up at 5 a.m. some mornings. Some nights I'm going to sleep at 4 a.m. There's so many commitments, so many financial responsibilities, so many pressure points that are in my life. I'm blessed. The conversation we had about mindset, I've developed my mindset. I'm dealing with it in a fantastic way. And I'm so proud of that. And I'm grateful for all my hard work that I put into that and God. And that's why I urge you guys to always develop your mindset. And we talked about awareness today. But I just want you guys to know like what I'm going through. Yeah, from the outside now, when I was documenting my journey to pro, I was sharing some of the bad moments. Now with a football club, there's PR. You need to be a bit more careful with what you share. I'm still on the grind. I'm still working incredibly hard. And I came to Dubai on a one-way ticket with nothing 3 years ago. 3 years later, look where I'm at. I still want to go so much higher, make so much bigger impact, get the football club to many, many big levels. But I just want to inspire you guys, wherever you're at in life right now, whatever it is you want to achieve, you can do it. It all starts with, I'm telling you, it starts with number one, believe in yourself that you can actually do it. Believe in yourself. I know it sounds easy, but like if you actually believe it, you start to back it up with the work. And even if you don't know what that work looks like, you then read a book, you listen to a podcast, you do some research, you figure out the work and you do the work. But it starts with believing in the fact that you can do it. And why do you even want to do it? Study that as well, because we talked about the why today. If you have a strong why and you believe in your ability to achieve it, then the rest is history. All the movies you watch, great stories. When I think of my life and my journey, I'm like, that's a movie. I'm like, that's a movie that one day I'm going to watch and I'm going to be like, wow, I maximize my life and you are on this planet and you have a movie to be shared. So it's time you start becoming the main character, you start becoming the director and start fulfilling that movie.
No words should be said after this. Soheil, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.